The Beretta 950 and 22 short, let's check it out. And this gun's so mousy, I'm definitely going to need a cigar to man up. Beretta is one of the oldest firearm manufacturers in the world, and they have a lot of proven designs, really high quality, and a large following. This is the Beretta Model 950BS. This was produced really for the concealed carry market, or for a backup pistol for law enforcement, or for those who carry concealed in Europe. And then from there, this became very popular in the United States. In fact, these were produced from 1952 up until 2003. And it's a really unique design. And before we really get started, we're going to go ahead and release the magazine, and we're going to check the chamber. Now, one of the things about the chamber checking is a very unique thing that Beretta designed. Is this little lever, you pop it up and the barrel pops up. It's called the tip-up barrel or the tilt barrel. Once the barrel has been tilted up, you can put a cartridge right into the chamber. And that really helps to make it safe. You close it down, and instead of racking the slide, you don't have to go through all that, and it really helps with safety. This is a blowback design, and so the gases in the barrel actually expel the cartridge out. There's no extractor. And that's really a cool design, especially for those that have weak hand strength, or, you know, for safety issues, because instead of having to rack this slide back and you have the hammer in the rear position, then you've got to drop the hammer to make it safe. Now, it does have a manual safety, which was added with the BS model. The original 950 and the 950B did not have an external safety on the frame, but it did have a half cock feature, which the 950BS also has it. Now, being the 22 short model, this particular line was not designed for self-defense. Really, the 25 ACP, which is definitely marginal at best, was made for a deep carry or as a backup pistol. And mainly because of the size of these pistols, this was really a small size for its time. And that was before, of course, the Ruger LCP and a lot of those pistols that are in the .380 caliber began to kind of approach this same size. This is actually 10.6 ounces, which makes it really nice. It's 4.5 inches in length. It's 3¼ inches in height, and the width is 3/4 of an inch here and just under an inch at the grip. And you can see the grip does come out just a little bit. For a very small pistol, it's actually fairly comfortable to hold if you have medium or small hands. If you have large hands, it can be very difficult. In fact, you can get slide bite, which is a problem, especially if you have meaty hands. And the slide will come back and just rip your skin right here, which makes it really hard to get accurate shots. But this design is fairly accurate for its size, even though it has a fairly short sight radius, and the sights themselves are pretty marginal. Not too bad of a group, about 7 yards, using some really old Winchester. In fact, I had a couple of Misfires that were definitely ammo related. But just a nice little circle. The sights are very rudimentary, and yet you can pick them up. That little blade is not too difficult. Easy to see targets. Here you can see it's just a small little notch, and then at the front it's just a blade. But you'll be surprised at how easy it is to pick those up when you're taking your time, and they're not that difficult to get. But this is made for concealed carry or for deep cover, so that's really important that it was really small. One of the things about this pistol is it's pretty iconic because it's been in so many movies. In fact, it's been in a number of James Bond movies, And I think some people have rumored that this was actually carried by Bond right at the beginning, but I believe it was a different it was a little bit of a larger 25 ACP Beretta. But it has been featured in a number of different movies. In fact, Halle Berry carried one of these, which makes this one of my favorite pistols, just that alone. But, you know, these are really small, they're tiny, and they are a lot of fun to shoot. The barrel and slide are made from carbon steel, and the frame itself is an aluminum frame. And then, of course, the trigger guard and all the things that are inside are steel. It does come with these plastic black grips. They did make some models with wood grips, and they also produced a model that had a nickel finish, which was really nice. These were made in the USA after the 1968 Gun Control Act, because these could no longer be imported. And so in 1970, these started being produced in the U.S. up until 2003. But the 22 Short was discontinued in 1992. Brazil also made a number of these and the Model 21 from the 60s and 70s. And those are actually pretty collectible, which these are too. I mean, the Beretta 950s and the Beretta Model 21s, all the tip-up barrels, are collectible. And because they're no longer being made, the price you can expect to pay for something like this is from $250 to up to about $450, or at least that's what some people are asking. And a lot of people are getting that, because once these are gone, they're gone. So these will continue to go up in price. And being Beretta, that makes them even more sought after. Now, there was a model of the 22 Short that was called the M4, and it was a little bit of a longer barrel. It actually had a 3 3/4 inch barrel. Again, shot 22 Short, and was more for accuracy and target. Those actually bring a premium over the shorter barrels. This does hold 6 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, so you have a total of 7 rounds. We have the magazine, which is a steel stamped magazine, and you have a small little button here that you pull down to load. It is fairly difficult to grab hold of, but once you get it started, you can load this pretty easily. It is quite different than the Beretta Model 25, and this was actually called the Minx, and the 25 is called the Jetfire. Now here we have the Jetfire, and we're going to double check to make sure it is unloaded. We have the magazine already out. They are identical as far as size, weight, everything about it, except the chamber, obviously, and the magazine. And here you can see the 22 magazine has a slot open for you to see the rounds. Here we have witness marks or holes right here to check for the 25 ACP. The 25 carries 8 plus 1, and then of course the 22 Short is 6 plus 1. So you have a little more magazine capacity here. In fact, years ago, I've had this pistol for probably 25 years. And I actually bought it for my wife as her first concealed carry. And she started hearing us talking about 25 ACP not being all that great of a self-defense round, and so I ended up getting her one of the Colt government model 380s. And she carried that for a number of years. Now she carries the Shield. But this has been a great little pistol, and I mean, I have never had any issues whatsoever with feeding, reliability, or anything. With the 22 Short, I just bought this one recently on Gunbroker, and just really been looking for one just to add to my mouse gun collection, which you guys know I really enjoy mouse guns. Now, one of the things about mouse guns is I'm not offering these as a self-defense option. But some people have these guns and they will use them as a self-defense option. So we need to talk about that, and if you do have one and this is all you can afford, or you just happen to have inherited it, you need to know the limitations. But honestly, just up front, I do not recommend these for self-defense. With that said, after I took this from my wife, I ended up carrying this a lot as a backup pistol, and sometimes people would question the fact that I was carrying a 25 ACP, and I told them, I said, I have 8 plus 1, and if I need to shoot them with that many rounds, I should at least be able to kick their butt. But you know, of course, with drug crazed people and everything, it's really better to go with at least a 380 ACP. And here we have the Model 21 Bobcat. It's much larger, it is double action, and that means when I pull the trigger, the hammer will actuate and fire the pistol. With a single action pistol like the Minx, you have to actually pull the hammer back to fire it. and then after subsequent rounds the hammer will be in the rear position. Or if you just do this and every time it shoots, you'll have the hammer back. You can put the safety on with the hammer back. So there are some different ways to carry this and different methods and options, but the Model 21 has just really been a popular pistol, and it is a lot of fun to shoot. Sometimes it can be a little more finicky with ammo, but once you shoot it, shoot a few boxes through it, it seems to smooth out. And but this has been a great little pistol as well. Now we have the usual suspects here: the 22 short, 22 long rifle, 25 ACP. 22 short is 896 feet per second, and that's about 52 foot-pounds of energy, 29 grains. And then we have the 22 long rifle, which is 948 feet per second, 75 foot-pounds at about a 40 grain bullet. And the 25 ACP is 867 feet per second, 80 foot-pounds, and 50 grains. Have 52 foot-pounds, 75 foot-pounds, and 80 foot-pounds. So it gives you just a lineup of the three. One of the things about a 25 ACP though is they can be more reliable because of the centerfire cartridge. It's one of the reasons why John Browning designed the 25 ACP, because it would be more reliable, especially considering the 22 long rifle at the time. It was much less reliable. Now as far as the misfires I was having, you can see there was a definite solid primer strike on the rim, which denotes that it was the ammo that was the cause of the malfunctions. With that being said, using old 22 short is not recommended, or 22 long rifle for that matter. And what we really want to do is get good quality ammunition to shoot through these guns. This ammunition is so short, and the magazine is a little difficult to get your thumb on the little button, the loading button. But once you get your thumbnail on it, it goes in pretty smooth. That is tiny. Inserting the magazine makes it really safe to pop up that little tip-up barrel. And then you can put a round right in there. You can rack the slide as well, but that just is an added safety feature. I thought the Model 950 in 25 ACP was super easy to shoot, but this little 22 short, it is just like butter. It is so smooth. There's no recoil at all. And I mean, it just fires, and really the only problems I had a couple of issues, but it was definitely ammo related. It was a good strike on the case. So other than that, it just functioned flawlessly. And so I'm really pleased. I didn't know, I bought this on Gunbroker and didn't really know what to expect. But just handles like the 950, which it just really feels good in the hand. It is a very small pistol, and for those who are rather bigger, have bigger hands, you're going to have, this may get lost in your hand. But it's a lot of fun. I think really taking first shooters out, this would be an excellent choice, especially for those with weak hands. Because of the tilt barrel feature, or what I like to call the tip-up barrel, it makes it so easy to load. You don't have to rack the slide, but also again it gives you an added safety feature, which makes it nice. So the Beretta 950, if you get a chance, either in the 25 or the 22 short, they're great guns to take out to the range and just have a lot of fun with. One thing about 22 short though is it's fairly hard to come by, and so you'll have to be on the lookout. At least while all this 22 has been very difficult to find, the 22 short's even more so. But really, if you have some, it'll just be a lot of fun. The one peculiar thing about the 950 is loading it with the tip-up barrel. When you close it, it's loaded, but the hammer's still down. With a standard single-action semi-automatic like a 1911 or a Browning High Power, pulling the slide back brings the hammer back. And so really, that's one thing that it took me a few minutes to get used to. Even though I have a 950, I don't shoot it a whole lot, so just getting used to that was a little different. But really the controls with the frame safety right here on the side and the magazine release, not at the heel side, but still down low. It wasn't too bad. It becomes intuitive after shooting for just a few minutes. It does have a slight little beaver tail right here, which helps with some, but again, if you have really meaty hands, you can see how low the slide comes down right to here. And so you want to be careful of that, especially when you're first shooting it. Very smooth design, very sleek, but yet because of the recoil is so light, not only on the 22 short, but also on the 25 ACP, you know, you really have a good grip on it, and it's not jumping around in your hands. And there's enough texturing on the grips here to be able to hold it. In fact, I really like the way this feels in the hand. The Model 21 has a thicker grip, and so it's actually easier to hold, a little more easier to control, but it's not as concealable. And that's one of the things about this pistol, is it is super concealable. You can hide this in about any place. So just a really classic, beautiful mouse gun. The 22 short magazines are much more difficult to find than the 25 ACP. In fact, Metgar offers brand new mags for these, and in fact I just did a review on Metgar mags, and I had a couple of the Beretta 950 magazines, and they actually make the magazines for Beretta, so that's a pretty cool deal. Most of these that you find with the slide here with this little safety means that they are made in the US. Here on the slide, Beretta Model 950BS 22 short. And then here on this side, made Beretta USA Corporation. It has the Beretta logo embossed, and there are some different designs on some of the older pistols. The magazine release is right down here. It's very positive. It just pops the magazine right out. With the 25, it's actually even more springy, but it does pop it out for you to be able to grab hold of, which is nice. It's not necessarily the heel style here, but it's not up here, which a lot of guys really like. I think with the size of this pistol, if it was up here, you would inadvertently hit it often. So right here, it's just really easy to get to. I have a good friend of mine that's in law enforcement that was carrying a Model 950 a few years ago, and a rabid pit bull had attacked some people, and he actually had to dispatch it with a Beretta Model 950. Because he didn't have time to get his gun out of his holster, and he ended up having to use an ankle holster, and he had this in it. So, I mean, these can take care of the job. Again, in 25. In the 22, you know, you're really pushing it, and I definitely would not recommend carrying a 22 short. 22 long rifle is bad enough, but 22 short is definitely pretty anemic. There was also a story of a guy carrying one of these in his pocket when he was sitting on the John, and when he lifted up, the gun fell out, hit the floor with the hammer, and shot him in the butt. So you need to be careful when you're carrying these. Of course, the half cock would definitely help with that, and this safety would really make a big difference. I would suggest when you're carrying this to definitely engage the safety. Now, to disassemble the pistol, we go ahead and hit the tip-up barrel and bring it all the way around. It pivots all the way around, and then we take the slide, pull it back, and then lift up the front of the slide up, and then it comes out like this. And this is field stripped, and you can do all your cleaning. One of the things to note is these springs right here. These are your recoil springs, these two right here. And one of the things I've noticed, especially on the Model 25, is that it'll cause some cracking sometimes right here with the grip. So just be careful with that. To reassemble, you have these two notches in the slide, and they need to go into those springs. So as you're bringing it down to get on the slide, you just do that, and it pops into place, and then you can bring your barrel over. And then we drop the hammer. So it's a really unique, pretty cool design. You don't want to dry fire this pistol because it is a rimfire pistol, and that can damage the firing pin. So the Beretta Model 950 and 22 short, thumbs way up. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. It's one of the reasons why John Brown And then we take the slide and we pull it back and lift it up. Oops, okay. Hey, Mr. Mousy, will you marry me? Well, okay, maybe not. You carried a 22 short, you better have the moxie.